The crew ignored her until the battleship turned its guns toward her voice. No one noticed her at first. Just a lone woman on the USS Harbinger. No badge, no uniform. But when the battleship's guns turned, it wasn't the crew who commanded them. It was her. Eleanor Ward, declared missing for 15 years, had returned, and the ocean itself obeyed her. One wrong move and everything aboard could be destroyed. Who is she really? And why does the ship listen only to her? The ocean fog rolled thick as concrete around the USS Harbinger, a steel giant drifting through the morning haze like a silent predator. Engines hummed deep in its core, radar dishes cut through the mist. Sailors shouted instructions across the deck. Another routine patrol. Another day where nothing interesting was supposed to happen. But at the far edge of the starboard platform, a lone woman leaned against the railing, watching the water as if every ripple was speaking to her. No uniform, no ID badge, no clearance, just a black coat, boots still wet from whatever smaller vessel she had arrived in, and a voice no one had heard yet. Petty Officer Mark Ridley nudged his friend. "Who's that?" he whispered. "Probably some visiting analyst," the other replied. "They don't matter. Don't talk to them." Mark frowned. Something about her posture. Not scared, not confused, not lost. Like she belonged there more than any of them. Captain Rowan Hale stormed out of the control tower, irritation sharp in his voice. "Who authorized a civilian on my battleship?" he barked. She didn't move, didn't explain herself, didn't even turn her head. She just kept watching the ocean. Rowan approached her. "Ma'am, this area is restricted. You need to—" She finally spoke. Her voice was calm, precise, quiet enough to be gentle, but strong enough to stop every nearby sailor mid-step. "You should slow the ship," she said. "You're heading towards something you don't detect yet." Rowan blinked. "Excuse me?" She turned her head slightly, eyes sharp as ice. "You heard me." The crew exchanged baffled glances. Even the petty officers closest to her stepped back as if they had felt something shift in the air. Rowan forced a stiff smile. "Ma'am, we operate with military-grade sensors. If there was any threat, it's not your sensors I'm concerned about," she said. "It's your assumptions." Mark Ridley whispered to himself. That didn't sound like a civilian. Before Rowan could respond, an officer shouted from the bridge. "Sir, turret 2 is moving." Without command input, Rowan snapped his head toward the forward deck. The massive 16-inch gun, capable of flattening a city block, was rotating on its own. "What the hell?" "Sir, it's activating," the radar technician yelled. "No crew inside? No firing sequence logged." Rowan's voice cracked. "Shut it down! Disable the turret!" But the gun didn't listen to the crew. It listened to her. She didn't touch anything. She didn't speak. She simply turned her gaze toward the turret, and it realigned instantly, like the steel obeyed her eyes. Mark stumbled backward, breath caught in his throat. "Is she controlling it?" No one answered. The deck fell silent except for the low, mechanical growl of metal shifting under invisible command. The woman took one slow step forward, barely a movement, and the turret shifted again, mirroring her like a trained guard dog. Rowan froze. "Who are you?" he whispered, but she didn't look at him. Her attention returned to the ocean. "There," she said softly. The turret aimed at a patch of water so empty and calm that it made the sailors laugh nervously. Mark shook his head. "There's nothing out there." But his voice wavered. Even he didn't believe it. The woman finally turned toward them, the wind catching her coat, making her silhouette cut sharply against the fog. "You don't see it yet," she said. "But it sees you." The crew stiffened. Seconds later, the ship's radar crackled. A glowing signal appeared. Then another. A pulse so faint, so deep beneath the water that only now, far too late, did the sensors pick it up. Submerged. Advancing, fast. Rowan whispered, How did you know? She didn't answer. Her eyes narrowed at the water as if she could see straight through the sea to whatever waited below. The radar officer screamed, "Unknown vessel rising! It's huge! Bigger than a standard submarine!" "Battle stations!" Rowan yelled. "Everyone move!" But the battleship didn't respond. Engines stalled. Deck lights flickered. Weapons locked themselves in place. The ship refused the captain. It refused every command except hers. Because the moment she inhaled, just a slow, steady breath, the Harbinger's systems surged back to life. All of them, simultaneously, as if synced to her heartbeat. The comms officer whispered, terrified, "Sir, she has voice priority on the ship, higher than yours." "That's impossible." But then it got worse. The main guns aligned toward the water with such precision that even the veteran gunners had never seen anything like it. Rowan took a step back. "Are you controlling my battleship?" She didn't deny it. She just lifted her chin slightly and whispered something none of them expected. "It wasn't your battleship to begin with." The deck went still. The fog thickened. And the unknown vessel beneath the surface rose higher, its shadow expanding, almost stretching toward the Harbinger, like something alive. Mark whispered, "Ma'am, what is happening?" Her voice turned colder. "The ocean isn't empty. The enemy you forgot didn't forget you, but this ship remembers me. It always did." A deep rumble shook the water. Something metallic surfaced, just enough to show its scale, vast and terrifying. Rowan's face paled. "Our guns? They're locked on its command?" She finally looked at him fully, eyes sharp and unblinking. "No," she said. "They're locked on mine." The crew froze. The ocean roared. The unknown vessel rose higher, towering, monstrous, impossible. And the battleship waited, not for its captain, but for her next breath. She lifted her hand. The Harbinger obeyed, and the crew realized the awful truth. They hadn't ignored a civilian. They had ignored the only person the ship would follow. The steel decks of the USS Valor trembled as the alarms rose into a frantic scream. Officers scrambled across the bridge, shouting commands that the ship refused to obey. Every turret, every barrel, every automated weapon system was locked onto one impossible target. Her. Elena Ward stood alone on the observation deck, wind pushing her hair across her face, her coat whipping like a dark flag. She didn't move. She didn't flinch. The battleship, the pride of the fleet, aimed directly at her chest. "Override it," Commander Rhodes barked, fingers hammering across the console. "It won't respond, sir," the weapons officer cried. "The system, it's listening to a voice command, but it's not ours." Rhodes's breath hitched. "Identify whose voice." The screen flickered. Lines of encrypted code unraveled, revealing a name the Navy had buried decades ago. Eleanor Ward, primary linked operator. Rhodes felt the blood drain from his face. That's impossible. She was declared missing, lost at sea. Yet there she stood, silent, steady, and terrifyingly calm, as a billion-dollar warship bowed to her presence alone. The crew backed away from the windows as the massive forward cannon depressed lower, metal groaning under its own weight. One accidental twitch, one microsecond of misfire, and the entire deck would be nothing but fractured steel. Rhodes stormed onto the deck, wind fighting each step. "Elena!" he shouted. "Tell me what the hell is happening!" She didn't turn. Her eyes remained locked on the horizon, sharp and unreadable. "Elena, the ship is about to fire." "I know," she said quietly. "Then stop it," Rhodes demanded. She took a slow breath. "It's not aiming at me, Rhodes." His voice cracked. It literally is. She shook her head. No, it's aiming through me. Before he could protest, the ocean shifted, a tremor, a ripple, then depths splitting open. A shape rose from the water's surface, massive, black, unmarked, moving with unnatural precision. Its hull was smooth as obsidian, its edges sharp enough to slice the reflection of the sun. The crew froze in terror. "What? What is that?" whispered an ensign. "Enemy vessel. No radar signature. Nothing." Eleanor finally spoke, her voice low and steady. "That thing is the reason I disappeared, the reason the Navy wrote me off, the reason I shouldn't exist." The dark vessel hummed, a deep resonant frequency that vibrated through the Valor's steel plates. The battleship's targeting systems whirred faster, synchronizing with the threat rising from the depths. "Elena," Rhodes said slowly, realizing the truth. "That ship, it's searching for you." "It has been," she replied, "for 15 years. The unmarked vessel aimed its front module toward the Valor. No cannon, no torpedo tubes, just a smooth aperture glowing with a pulsing white light. "Brace!" Rhodes yelled. But the Valor didn't wait for human orders. Elena took a single step forward. Instantly, the turret snapped to life. Engines roared, firing systems armed. The battleship answered only her. "Elena, what are you doing?" Rhodes whispered. Her voice was barely audible. "Finishing what they started." The black vessel fired a beam of concentrated energy, slicing across the water. But the Valor's main cannon responded with surgical precision, intercepting the beam midair. The collision erupted in a blinding shockwave, throwing sailors to the deck. Rhodes shielded his face. "You're controlling it. How?" "I'm not," she said, eyes glowing with reflected fire. "It's remembering." The Valor surged forward, cutting across the waves with impossible accuracy. The unmarked vessel retaliated, launching sound-based pulses that shattered the air like thunder. The crew covered their ears, stumbling. But Elena stood firm. She lifted her hand. The battleship obeyed. Turrets rotated, secondary guns aligned, automated shields engaged. Every system moved as one, guided by a voice she hadn't spoken aloud in years. "Elena, you were its original commander," Rhodes realized. "No," she whispered. "I was its blueprint." The final clash shook the sea. The Valor fired a precision strike, one perfect shot, cutting through the black vessel's core. A flash erupted, the enemy hull imploding in a vortex of collapsing light. Silence followed. Just waves. Just wind. Just her. The guns lowered themselves. The ship powered down. The crisis ended. Rhodes approached her carefully. "Is it over?" Eleanor exhaled, exhaustion softening her posture. "For now. But the ocean keeps its secrets. And some of those were built to follow me." "Are you staying?" he asked. She finally turned toward him, eyes clear, resolute. "The Valor remembers me," she said. "And now the crew does too." She stepped toward the bridge. "And if another one wakes, I'll be here." The sea shimmered around the battleship, quiet, obedient, waiting for her next command.